this morning, got out of bed, went to the mirror and I shook my pretty head. I'm conceited, yeah, and that's no lie. I'll be an Aka till the day I die. We don't die, we just intensify.
Hello guys, Simone56, continue my video series Alpha Kappa Alpha and the idolatry of sorority membership. I want to talk about a subject that is rather personal to me concerning Alpha Kappa Alpha, and one of the main reasons I believe that young women should avoid this particular organization, if not all Greek organizations together, and I believe that you should avoid all Greek organizations. But I want to talk about stereotypes today and the way stereotypes affected me. Now, it's a very important note because this is one of the areas where I feel I let AKA affect how I viewed myself as a woman and as a child of God. Now, as you guys can see in my videos that I am a big woman. I am 6 feet tall and I weigh blah 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 pounds. I'm also a darker skinned woman. Now, there are plenty of AKAs who are darker skinned, who aren't so pretty, who don't have straight, long flowing hair, and don't fit the stereotype associated with AKAs. But the stereotype that is indeed associated with AKAs is that they are very pretty, they're light skinned, petite, with long flowing hair to toss around and around and around. Now, I'm about to be very honest with you. Because of unhealthy messages sent to me by others around me growing up, I still struggle, and honestly to this day I still do struggle with my self-image, and thought that being light-skinned was somehow better, or at least was looked upon as being better. The same goes for my hair, and I thought that relaxing my hair to make it straight, the straighter the longer the better, and I thought that was what made me pretty. Now as you guys can tell from my recent videos on my Divinely Natural channel, I rock my fro and my natural hair in rebellion to all of those stupid stereotypes AKA put forth. I even have a video which testifies to that fact. I really think that subconsciously women join organizations, whether it be AKA Delta, SG, Rho, or Z5B. I think they subconsciously join these organizations because they want to be associated with the stereotypes. Concerning AKA, I mean, who doesn't want to be thought of as pretty? I mean, this is some house Negro, slave Negro stuff I'm bringing up here, but it's true. There's even a history of discrimination against darker skinned people in Black Greek letter organizations. I will remind folks of the paper bag test, that if your complexion wasn't as bright or brighter than a shade of a piece of paper, you were not admitted into these organizations.
Bag test? Yes, because some people that I met, one of my co-workers and friends who was born in Puerto Rico, she was like, what is the brown paper bag test? Okay, so would anyone in the audience like to just share, like someone in the audience would like to share the history of the brown paper bag test? Yes. You can stand up and then you can stand up, please.
I don't want to stand up.
Oh, okay, all right. Somebody can stand and they can hear if you don't mind.
Okay.
Yeah, give them a round.
The brown paper bag test is basically if you're lighter than the paper bag, then you're cool, I guess. You're okay with society, and if you're darker, then something's wrong with you. That was like the medium.
Right. All right. What's your name?
Brianna.
Brianna. Give Brianna another round of applause.
Okay, real quick. So I know that the brown paper bag was actually used during the time of the Harlem Renaissance when there'd be social functions. They would actually hang a brown paper bag at the doorway at the entrance of different clubs and societies, and if you were darker than the brown paper bag, you could not get in. So it was actually used, a calling card, so to speak, for certain cliques in Harlem. So yeah.
Right. Give Rod a round of applause. Yes, and so in addition to being used in Harlem, it was also used in universities and sororities down in New Orleans, Louisiana. In order to get entrance into a social function, sometimes you actually had to pass this brown paper bag test.
Now, granted, AKA was not the only organization who did this, but I've heard the stories and I've seen proof with my very own eyes that while the chapters that I've seen may not be consciously picking women of a lighter shade to join their organizations, they do seem to be attracted in larger numbers than most, okay? But let's not forget that the light skin, dark skin issue is more about class in the black community than anything. Do y'all remember the Spike Lee movie School Days? It's one of my favorite movies because now that I'm a former Greek, I mean, Spike Lee really nailed the entire Greek community in his movie. I want to show you a couple of clips in this video here. Check this out. Guys, I let the stereotypes of Alpha Kappa Alpha rule me, and it was always the standard that I was trying to live up to, and I couldn't. I wanted to aspire to be the perfect AKA, even though I knew that others looked at me and they looked at my frame and they looked at my skin tone and they made fun of me and they probably thought I wasn't good enough. Now, mind you, this is a lot of my insecurity talking, but I know for a fact that people looked at me and posted pictures of me in groups on Facebook and did other things and told me that I was not pretty enough to be an AKA, or because I didn't look like the stereotypical AKA, I was made fun of. But I realize now that when you're dealing with people that aren't born again, I mean, they're evil and they're going to do what they do. So it is what it is. I was messed up for a long time. You know, I was part of conversations with other members of my sorority, and and I would sit there and listen to them, and they would talk about, oh, those fat Zetas and those ugly SGOs, and I was like, hold up. Do you not see me here as a big woman and you're saying these things? Not to mention the fact that you're disrespecting the other members of organizations based off of our stereotype that we're supposed to have all of these pretty women. Yeah, we might be pretty on the outside, but we've got some ugly demeanors on the inside. I was offended. I remember this conversation. I was just offended that day. I started to realize a manner of things in my life that Alpha Kappa Alpha messed up my self-perception of who I was for a long time before God set me free. Now, it probably was messed up from the beginning, but like I said, I think we subconsciously join organizations that we feel fit us. To be very honest, all of these organizations do quote-unquote community service, and all these organizations quote-unquote are good for the community, but you join them for different reasons, and you join them because you think you fit in with what they've got going on, their mystique, their attitude, the way that they carry themselves. And something in me, and I know it was my flesh, something in me knew that I was supposed to be an AKA. Well, AKAs like to downplay the stereotype that we purposely put forth as if it's something that's just not real. I like to call it the Sasha Fierce Syndrome, where people love to think that they're manifesting something that's not really them. Oh, that's not really me. Oh, that's just an act I play. That's not really me. I'm really Simone 5'6", the person. I'm really down to earth. I'm not that conceited stereotype I put out there. But God says, by their fruits you will know them, you will recognize them for what they are. Now, AKA's fruit in the area of stereotypes is this. Let me tell you, we play them up in public. We love being called the pretty sorority. They exemplify the stereotypes all the time in step shows and probates and strolls. You can look at an AKA and see the flowing, relaxed hair, the way they carry themselves, etc., that the stereotypes are not just mere suggestions. They're being made manifest right before you. Now, when I was a member, I always thought that it was cool that AKAs played the part. And I was probably the most critical of sorors who didn't meet the quote-unquote standard. And honestly, I was probably insecure and knew in many ways that I couldn't. So anytime a soror wasn't up to par when it came to the AKA standard, I had something to say. I look at it now and I know for sure. And be not fooled that this is not an act. What you see with the sorors strolling, tossing their hair, and they're doing all that, this is something that is in you, that is coming out. You're not playing a part. This is something that is you. And if I'm saying that about you as an AKA, I have to say it about myself as an AKA. I can't pull punches when it came to my membership, that this was a part of me. But AKA, in a strange way, helped me manifest that fleshly want to be shallow and to just think about looks and oh how pretty that I could be, and then I could hide behind the shield and say, well, that's just me being an AKA. I'm really just me, the person. That's not really me. But that's not true. What I want people that are in these organizations to realize, when you take oaths to these organizations and then you bond yourself to an organization in this manner, and you start manifesting the stereotypes of these organizations, is not because you're playing a part. These things are being manifest and being magnified. Because I know of individuals who I thought quote-unquote changed once they became a member of XYZ org, or they became more arrogant, or just their attitude in general changed. And I thought, oh, these organizations changed them. No, the organization didn't change them. What happened was that they could hide behind the shield of their organization. They could hide behind the stereotype of that organization and say to themselves, oh, because my sisters are known to be conceited, I can be conceited too. Or my brothers are known to be arrogant, so I can act arrogant too. But not realizing that this is in them. This is in their sinful nature. These things being made manifest are in your sin nature. And because you're in these organizations now, you can fully manifest them without people looking at you funny, or you'll have an excuse because your organization is known to act that way. I heard a wise man say that Hitler was not an anomaly, that Hitler could have been any one of us if we've had that power that Hitler had. And I think it's true. When you become a member of these organizations, the stereotype, because it's in you already, this is something that's in you, it manifests to the nth degree. We are showing that to be the case within us because we chose XYZ org to begin with, because we saw a little bit of ourselves in it. Just to be very honest, look, full disclosure here, guys. So when I talk about stereotypes, I don't leave myself out of this, because I know that in my flesh there's a part of me that wanted to associate with the stereotypical notion that is AKA. But of course, what the Bible says is that we should be renewing our minds in the Word of God. Renewing our minds and being made over in His image, not in the image of AKA or Delta or SG Rho or Z5B or A5A or Q Psi Phi or KA Psi or PBS or Iota Phi Theta. So when it comes down to it, when the idolatry in these organizations truly take shape, we see it in the stereotypical notions of these organizations. The Sasha Fierce Syndrome lives on, where people want to take on these alternate realities. You see that alternate reality thing is set, where somebody is one way during the daytime, but that's set. They're different. They're a different person. They're showing you a side of them that they don't show everybody else, because this is really them, but they won't show you that them, because it's all about duplicity and it's all about deception. And I want people to realize that when they look at the stereotypical notions that you see on the stage, and when you see AKAs flipping their hair, or you see deltas going hard, or whatever you see, when you see this stuff happening, know that there is a reason and a purpose for it all. Alright, see you guys in the next part. I love you all with the love of the Lord. Bye.